The bridge was dark except for the red emergency lights. Commander Minji stood in the center, her hands gripping the metal railing. She watched the screens around her. Each screen showed bad news. Ships were dying. Her ships. Her people. The Valtherians had come 3 months ago. Nobody knew where they came from. They just appeared one day in the outer systems. Their ships were big. Their weapons were strong. And they did not talk. They only attacked. Minji remembered the first battle. It was near the mining colony on Heston 7. The Allied fleet had 20 ships. They thought 20 ships would be enough. They were wrong. The Valtherians destroyed 15 ships in the first hour. The rest ran away. Minji was there. She saw good people die that day. Now she was here. This was the last stand. This was the final defense line. If they lost here, the Valtherians would reach the core worlds. Billions of people would die. Minji could not let that happen. She would not let that happen. Her battle cruiser was called the Morning Star. It was a good ship. It had served for 20 years. But now it was hurt. The engines were damaged. The shields were weak. Half the weapons did not work anymore. And they were almost out of missiles. A young officer ran up to her. His name was Taeyang. He looked scared. Everyone looked scared now. Commander, the enemy is moving forward. They are breaking through Sector 4. Minji nodded. She already knew this. The sensors showed everything. The Valtherian fleet was massive. Hundreds of ships. They moved like a wall of death through space. Nothing could stop them. Nothing had stopped them. Send all available fighters to Sector 4. Tell Captain Junho to hold his position as long as he can. Taeyang ran back to his station. Minji watched the tactical display. Small blue dots represented Allied ships. Red dots represented the enemy. There were so many red dots, too many. The blue dots were disappearing one by one. Admiral Hyun appeared on her communication screen. He looked old and tired. The war had aged him. It had aged everyone. Minji, we lost the Starbreaker. Captain Minho did not make it. We also lost the Horizon and the Defender. Our losses are at 72% now. 72%. Nearly 3/4 of the fleet was gone. Minji felt cold inside. These were not just numbers. These were people she knew. Friends, comrades. Some she had trained with at the academy. Some she had shared meals with. All gone now, I understand, Admiral. What are your orders? Hyun was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. His voice was heavy with sadness. Hold as long as you can. We are evacuating the colony below. The transports need 30 more minutes. Give them 30 minutes, Minji. Then you can retreat. 30 minutes. It seemed like forever. But Minji knew what she had to do. Yes, sir. We will hold. The screen went dark. Minji turned back to the tactical display. The red dots were getting closer. She could see Valtherian capital ships. They were huge. Each one was 3 times bigger than her battlecruiser. And their weapons could tear through shields like paper. The ship shook. An explosion somewhere on the lower decks. The lights flickered. Damage report, Minji called out. Engineer Minseo responded from the engine room. His voice crackled through the speakers. That was a plasma torpedo. It hit our starboard side. Hull breach on deck 7. We are sealing it now. But Commander, our shields are down to 15%. One more hit like that and we are finished. 15%. Minji did some quick math in her head. They would not last 30 minutes. Maybe 10. Maybe less. Do what you can, Minseo. We need to buy time for the transports. I will try, Commander. The bridge crew worked in silence. Everyone knew they were probably going to die here. But nobody complained. Nobody gave up. They had a job to do. Innocent people were depending on them. Minji thought about her family. Her mother and father lived on Earth, safe for now. Her brother was a teacher. Her sister was a doctor. Normal people living normal lives. They did not know what was happening out here. They did not know that the universe was a dangerous place. They did not know that people like Minji were fighting and dying to keep them safe. Another explosion. Closer this time. The ship shook hard. Minji almost fell. She grabbed the railing to stay standing. Shields at 8%. Someone shouted 8%. Not enough. Not nearly enough. Taeyang turned to her. Commander, the Valtherians are charging their main weapons. They are targeting us. This was it. The end. Minji took a deep breath. She would face death with courage. Her crew deserved that much. All hands brace for impact. It has been an honor serving with you all. She waited. The seconds felt like hours. The red dots on the screen moved closer. Closer, any moment now. Then Taeyang shouted. His voice was different, excited, confused. Commander, sensors are picking up something strange. Something just entered the atmosphere. It is moving very fast. Very, very fast. Minji looked at the screen. There was a new contact. A single object. It was falling from orbit like a meteor, but it was too small to be a ship. Too controlled to be debris. What is that? She asked. Taeyang checked his instruments. He looked at the data again. Then again. He did not believe what he was seeing. Commander, the computer identifies it as a drop pod. A human drop pod. It is heading for the planet's surface. Right into the middle of the Valtherian ground forces. A drop pod. One drop pod. One soldier. Minji did not understand. Why would anyone drop a single soldier into the middle of an enemy army? It made no sense. It was suicide, but she watched anyway. Everyone on the bridge watched. The small dot on the screen fell faster and faster. It burned bright as it hit the atmosphere. Like a falling star. Like a sign from heaven, the Valtherians stopped firing. They saw it too. They were watching the same thing, waiting to see what would happen. The drop pod disappeared behind the planet. It hit the ground somewhere on the battlefield below. For a moment, nothing happened. Everything was quiet. The space battle had stopped. Everyone was waiting. Then Minji saw something on the ground sensors. Energy readings. Weapons fire. A lot of weapons fire. All coming from where the pod had landed. What was down there? What kind of soldier could create that much chaos? She would soon find out. They all would. Because everything was about to change. Sergeant Doyun lay flat in the mud. His armor was covered in dirt and blood. Some of the blood was his. Most of it belonged to his friends. Dead friends. The battlefield was a nightmare. Smoke filled the air. Fires burned everywhere. Bodies lay scattered across the ground. Human bodies. Alien bodies. The bodies of soldiers from a dozen different worlds. All fighting together. All dying together. Do-hyun had been fighting for 6 hours straight. His platoon started with 40 soldiers. Now there were only 12 left. They were hiding behind the ruins of a collapsed building. The Valtherians were everywhere. Their ground forces were like machines. They did not get tired. They did not feel fear. They just kept coming. He looked at his rifle. Almost empty. 3 shots left. Maybe 4. He had lost count. His hands were shaking. He was not sure if it was fear or exhaustion. Probably both. Next to him was Private Yuna. She was young. Too young. This was her first real battle. She was crying quietly, trying not to make noise, trying to be brave, but everyone was scared. Even Do-hyun. Especially Do-hyun. Sergeant, what do we do? She whispered. What do we do? Good question. Do-hyun did not have a good answer. They could not run. The Valtherians would shoot them in the back. They could not fight. They had no ammunition. They could not surrender. The Valtherians did not take prisoners. We wait, he said. Help is coming. It was a lie. Help was not coming. Everyone knew it. The fleet above was losing. The other ground units were destroyed. They were alone. But lies were better than truth sometimes. Lies gave hope. Even false hope was better than nothing. Suddenly the ground shook. A massive explosion in the distance. Then another. And another. The earth trembled like an earthquake. Dust and rocks fell from the ruined walls around them. What was that? Yuna asked. Her eyes were wide with terror. Do-hyun carefully raised his head. He looked over the broken wall. In the distance he saw something falling from the sky. It was on fire. Burning bright like a comet. It was coming down fast. Very fast! Incoming! Someone shouted. The object hit the ground about 200 meters away, right in the middle of the Valtherian positions. The impact was enormous. It created a crater the size of a house. The shockwave knocked Do-hyun back down into the mud. For a moment everything was quiet. The Valtherians stopped shooting. Do-hyun and his soldiers stopped moving. Everyone was watching the crater, waiting. Smoke rose from the impact site. Do-hyun grabbed his binoculars. His hands were still shaking. He focused on the crater. Through the smoke he could see something. A pod or a drop pod. Military design. But he did not recognize the model. The pod's hatch exploded outward. Metal pieces flew in all directions. Then someone stepped out. A soldier. Wearing armor unlike anything Do-hyun had ever seen. It was black. Completely black. It seemed to absorb light. made the soldier look like a shadow, like a ghost. The Valtharians saw the soldier too. They opened fire immediately. Energy weapons, plasma rifles, heavy cannons, all aimed at the single figure standing in the crater. The soldier did not take cover, did not hide. Instead, she moved forward, straight into the enemy fire. But she was fast, so fast. She dodged and weaved between the plasma bolts, moving like water, like wind. Impossible speed for someone in heavy armor. She had weapons too. Big weapons, one in each hand. They roared to life. Energy beams cut through the Valtharian lines. Shield after shield failed. Armor melted. Enemies fell. Dohyun could not believe what he was seeing. One soldier, just one, against hundreds of Valtharians. And she was winning. Who is that? Yuna asked. Her voice was filled with wonder now instead of fear. I do not know, Dohyun said. But I think she is human. Human. The word spread through his platoon like electricity. Hope returned to tired eyes. Humans were known across the galaxy for many things. Stubbornness, creativity, refusal to give up, and most of all for being absolutely terrifying in combat. The soldier moved deeper into enemy territory. She was not just fighting. She was hunting. Every movement was precise. Every shot was perfect. She fought like she had done this 1,000 times before. Like killing Valtharians was easy. A Valtharian battle tank rolled forward. Its main cannon charged up. Bright blue energy gathered at the barrel. That weapon could destroy a building. It would definitely destroy one soldier. The tank fired. The energy beam lit up the battlefield. But the soldier was not there anymore. She had jumped higher than should be possible. She landed on top of the tank. Her armored boots dented the metal hull. She jammed one of her weapons into the tank's hatch. Fired. The tank exploded from the inside. She jumped off just before the ammunition cooked off. Landed in a roll. Came up firing at more enemies. Dohyun realized his mouth was hanging open. He closed it. Looked at his soldiers. They were all staring too, watching the impossible happen. Sergeant, one of his men said. Corporal Jinwoo, a good soldier. Should we help her? Should they? Dohyun thought about it. They barely had any ammunition. They were exhausted, wounded. But watching that soldier fight alone felt wrong. She was giving them a chance. The least they could do was try. Yes, he said. Yes, we help. Everyone check your weapons. We are going back into the fight. His soldiers looked at him. Then they looked at each other. Then they smiled. Tired, bloody smiles. But real ones. Because they had hope again. That soldier down there was not just fighting. She was showing them that the battle was not over. That they could still win. Dohyun stood up. His legs hurt. His back hurt. Everything hurt. But he stood anyway. On my mark. We advance in pairs. Cover each other. Aim for the ones trying to flank her. Ready? They were ready. All 12 of them. Against an army. Impossible odds. But they had a human on their side now. And humans did not believe in impossible. Now, move, they charged from cover, rifles up, firing what little ammunition they had. The Valtharians turned to face this new threat. But they were confused now, disorganized. The human soldier had disrupted their formations. Broken their lines, the soldier saw them coming. Saw Allied forces joining the fight. She changed tactics immediately. Started pushing the enemies toward Dohyun's position, herding them like animals. Into a kill zone, it was working. By heaven and earth, it was actually working. The Valtharians were retreating. Not all of them, but some. They were falling back. Regrouping. For the first time in this entire battle, the enemy was not advancing. Dohyun reached the crater. The human soldier was there. Up close, she was even more impressive. The armor was covered in scorch marks from enemy fire, but she was not hurt. Not even breathing hard, she turned to look at him. Her helmet had a dark visor. He could not see her face, but he felt her eyes on him, measuring, judging. Then she spoke. Her voice came through his radio. It was calm, professional. Lieutenant Sujin, Human Special Operations. I need your help, Sergeant. Dohyun stood straighter, saluted. His hand was steady now, not shaking anymore. Sergeant Dohyun, whatever you need, Lieutenant. We are with you, Sujin nodded. Good. Then let us finish this fight. Captain Junho ran through the smoke. His lungs burned. His legs felt like lead. But he kept running. Behind him, his squad followed. 20 soldiers. all that remained of his company. They had heard the explosion, felt the ground shake. Then they heard something else. Weapons fire, lots of it, but different from before. These weapons sounded powerful. Human powerful. Junho reached a hill. He stopped at the top, looked down at the battlefield. His jaw dropped. What he saw was impossible. Absolutely impossible. A single soldier in black armor was fighting through the Valtherian lines. Fighting and winning. Around her he could see Sergeant Doyon and his platoon. They were fighting too, following the human soldier, supporting her advance. The Valtherians were in chaos. Their organized formations were broken. They did not know where to shoot. Who to target. The human was everywhere at once. Behind them. In front of them. Above them. She moved like nothing Junho had ever seen. "Sir, is that what I think it is?" asked Lieutenant Hana. She was standing next to him, staring at the same scene. "A human super soldier," Junho said quietly. "I heard stories about them. Experiments, special programs. I thought they were just rumors." "They are real," Hana whispered. "Very real." Junho made a decision. His company was scattered, beaten, demoralized, but they were not dead yet. And down there someone was giving them a chance to fight back. A chance to win. "All units, this is Captain Junho. Converge on my position. We are launching a counterattack. Support the human soldier. This is our chance. Do not waste it." Responses came through his radio, from different parts of the battlefield. Scattered units. Lost soldiers. All of them had seen the black armored fighter. All of them had the same idea. Join the fight. Help the human. Within minutes, nearly 100 soldiers gathered at the hill. More kept arriving. They came from hiding places, from defensive positions, from the ruins of destroyed vehicles. All of them wounded. All of them tired. But all of them ready to fight. Junho looked at his troops. They were a mess. Different uniforms. Different units. Different species even. Humans. Talaxians. Corvin. Belters. All of them had been fighting the Valtherians. All of them had been losing. Until now. Listen up, he shouted. That human down there is showing us how to win. She is not hiding. She is not running. She is fighting. And we are going to fight with her. We split into 3 groups. First group follows me. We push straight through the center. Second group takes the left flank. Third group takes the right. We surround them. We crush them. Understood? "Yes, sir," they shouted back. Their voices were loud, strong. The fear was gone, replaced by something else. Hope, determination, the will to fight. They charged down the hill, all 100 of them, weapons firing, voices screaming. They hit the Valtherian rear positions like a hammer. The enemy did not expect an attack from behind. They panicked, started shooting in all directions. Junho saw the human soldier notice them. She immediately adjusted her tactics, started pushing enemies toward the new arrivals, creating kill zones, setting up crossfires. She was not just a fighter. She was a tactician, a leader. Meanwhile, above the planet, Commander Minji watched everything from her damaged ship. The sensors showed the battle below. She saw the human soldier land, saw the counterattack begin, saw the Valtherians start to retreat. "Commander, the enemy fleet is pulling back," Taeyang reported. "They are withdrawing to support their ground forces." Withdrawing. The Valtherians were actually withdrawing. Minji could not believe it. In 3 months of war, the enemy had never retreated, never pulled back. They just advanced and killed. But now they were leaving. Because of one human soldier, all ships pursue the enemy. But stay in formation. Do not overextend. This might be a trap, but it was not a trap. The Valtherians were genuinely retreating. Their formation was breaking apart. Ships were moving independently. No coordination, no strategy, just escape. Admiral Heyoon appeared on her screen again. This time he was smiling, actually smiling. "Minji, the transports are away. All civilians evacuated safely. And look at this. The enemy is running. What did that human do down there?" "She gave us hope, sir. She showed our people that the Valtherians can be beaten." On the ground, Sujin reached the Valtherian command center. It was a large structure, heavily defended, or it had been. Now the defenses were in ruins, bodies everywhere. Her work. She placed a device on the door. It beeped 3 times, then exploded. The door flew inward. She stepped through, her weapons ready. Inside were more enemies. They fired at her. Energy bolts filled the air. But she was already moving, dodging, returning fire. One by one they fell. She did not miss. She never missed. The command center had computers, Valtharian technology. She plugged a data connector into her armor, then into their systems. Her suit's AI started downloading everything: fleet positions, supply routes, communication codes, battle plans, everything. It took 30 seconds. When it was done, she had everything the Valtharians knew. Every secret, every weakness, every mistake they had made. She transmitted the data to Commander Minji's ship. The files were encrypted, compressed, but complete. On the Morning Star's bridge, Minji received the transmission. She opened the files, started reading. Her eyes went wide. Taeyang, get Admiral Hyun, get everyone. This changes everything. The intelligence was perfect. It showed Valtharian fleet positions. Their supply lines were stretched thin. Their ships needed a rare fuel that could only be found in 3 systems. All 3 systems were vulnerable. More importantly, it showed their weakness. Their shields operated on a specific frequency, a frequency that could be disrupted with the right modifications that Allied weapons could make. Send this to all Allied forces, Minji ordered. Every ship, every base, everyone needs to see this. The Valtharians are not invincible. We can hurt them. We can beat them. Down below, Sujin set charges throughout the command center. Big charges, enough to level the entire building. She walked out calmly, found Sergeant Do-Yun and Captain Junho waiting for her. You might want to move back, she said. They ran. All the Allied soldiers ran. Caught behind cover. Waited. The explosion was massive. The command center disappeared in a ball of fire. The shockwave knocked down nearby structures. When the smoke cleared, there was nothing left. Just a crater, a big one. The remaining Valtharians saw their command center destroyed. They broke. Completely broke. Started running, fleeing. Some threw down their weapons. Others just ran without looking back. Junho started laughing. He could not help it. They had won. Actually won, against impossible odds, because of one human. His soldiers started laughing too, then cheering, throwing their helmets in the air, hugging each other, crying tears of joy and relief. They were alive. They had survived. Sujin stood among them, watching, her helmet retracted. For the first time, they could see her face. She was young, maybe 30, Korean features, dark eyes, tired eyes, but strong ones. Do-Hyun approached her. Thank you. You saved us all. She shook her head. You saved yourselves. You kept fighting when most would have given up. That is true courage. Above them, the last Valtharian ships jumped to hyperspace, running away, defeated. The battle was over, and the war had just turned. The intelligence from the Valtharian command center spread through the Allied forces like wildfire. Every ship received the data. Every commander studied it. Every soldier heard the news. The enemy could be beaten. They had weaknesses. They could bleed. Commander Minji stood in the Morning Star's war room. Around her were holograms showing fleet positions. 3 systems glowed red. The Valtharian fuel sources. Cut off those systems and the enemy fleet would die slowly. Starve for energy. Become vulnerable. Admiral Hyun was explaining the plan. His voice was strong now, confident. The defeat had been replaced by hope, by determination. We hit all 3 systems at once. Split our forces into 3 battle groups. The Valtharians will not expect us to attack. They think we are beaten. They think we are running. We show them they are wrong. Minji looked at the other commanders on the communication screens. Captain Junho was there. His ground forces would secure the planets. Lieutenant Jiwoo would lead the fighter squadrons. Pilot Seokjin would command the bombing runs. Engineer Min Seo had already started modifying weapons to exploit the shield frequency weakness, and Lieutenant Sujin would lead the ground assault on the main fuel depot, the most dangerous target, the one with the heaviest defenses. But if anyone could do it, she could. She had already proven that. When do we launch? Minji asked. 6 hours, Hyun said. We need time to repair our ships, reload ammunition, brief the crews, but no more than 6 hours. The Valtharians are regrouping. We must strike before they recover. 6 hours. Not much time, but enough. It had to be enough. The crews worked fast. Min Seo and his engineering teams moved through the fleet. modifying weapons, adjusting frequencies. The changes were not complicated, simple alterations, but they would make all the difference. The Valtherian shields would fail. Their armor would crack. Their ships would burn. On the planet's surface, Junho gathered his troops. They had recovered Valtherian weapons from the battlefield. Heavy plasma rifles, particle cannons, anti-vehicle launchers, good equipment. The enemy made quality gear. Now that gear would be used against them. Su-Jin was checking her armor. It had taken damage in the last battle. Scorch marks covered the black surface. Some plates were cracked. But it still worked. The armor systems showed green. Weapons loaded. Shields charged. Medical systems ready. Sergeant Do-Yun approached her. He had a new rifle, fresh ammunition. His squad was ready to follow her again. They trusted her now. All the soldiers did. She had saved them once. They believed she would do it again. Lieutenant, my platoon volunteers to accompany you on the assault. We know how you fight now. We can support you better. Su-Jin looked at him, studied his face. He was serious. His soldiers stood behind him. All of them nodded. They wanted this. Wanted to fight beside her. The target is heavily defended. Many of you will die. We know, Do-Yun said simply. But we follow you anyway. Because you give us a chance to win that is worth dying for. She nodded slowly. Then you are welcome. Stay close. Follow my lead. Do exactly what I say. And we might all survive this. Might, not will, might. Honest words. Do-Hyun appreciated that. No false promises. No easy lies. Just truth. The 6 hours passed quickly. Too quickly. Before anyone was truly ready, it was time. The fleet gathered. 3 battle groups. Each one heading to a different target system. Each one carrying the hopes of billions. Minji stood on her bridge. The Morning Star was repaired. Not perfect, but functional. The engines worked. The weapons worked. The crew was tired but determined. They would fight. They would win, or they would die trying. All ships, this is Admiral Hyun. Today we take the fight to the enemy. Today we show them that we are not prey. We are predators. We are warriors, and we will not stop until they are defeated. Jump on my mark, 3, 2, 1, mark. The fleet jumped to hyperspace. Reality twisted around them. Stars became lines of light. Space became a tunnel. Then they were through. Arriving in enemy territory. The Valtherian defenses were ready. They had sensors. They knew the Allied fleet was coming. Their ships moved to intercept. Weapons charging. Shields up. Confident they would win again. But they were wrong. The modified Allied weapons opened fire. Energy beams hit Valtherian shields, and the shields failed. Just failed. Like paper against fire. The beams punched through. Hit hulls. Tore through armor. Explosions blossomed across enemy ships. The Valtherians panicked. Their shields were supposed to be invincible. Their armor was supposed to hold. But nothing was working. Their ships were dying. Fast. Minji watched the tactical display. Blue dots were winning. Red dots were disappearing. For the first time in 3 months, the Allies were winning a space battle. Target their capital ships. Do not let them escape. Fighters, clear the way for our bombers. Lieutenant Jiwoo led her fighter wing through the chaos. Her small craft dodged between explosions. Enemy fighters tried to intercept, but the modified weapons cut through them like a knife. She reached the enemy flagship, locked on. Fired missiles, the missiles hit. The flagship's shields flickered, failed. The massive ship started venting atmosphere. Tried to turn, tried to run. But pilot Seokjin arrived with his bomber squadron. They unleashed everything. Torpedoes, bombs, missiles. The flagship broke apart, exploded, died. On the planet below, Su-Jin's drop pod hit the surface. The impact was softer this time, more controlled. She had backup now. Do-Hyun and his platoon landed nearby. So did Captain Junho with his company. Nearly 200 soldiers. A real assault force. The fuel depot was massive. Huge storage tanks filled with the rare energy source the Valtherians needed. Defensive turrets covered every approach. Automated guns, missile batteries, force fields, and thousands of enemy troops. Su-Jin did not hesitate. She charged forward. Her armor absorbed the first wave of fire. Then she was among them. Her weapons sang. Death followed wherever she moved. Do-Hyun and his platoon followed close behind. They moved as a unit now, practiced, coordinated. They had learned from watching her. Learned how to fight like humans, fast, aggressive, unpredictable. Junho led his forces around the flanks. They targeted the defensive turrets, destroying them one by one, creating gaps in the defenses, opening paths for more troops to advance. The battle was fierce, violent. Many Allied soldiers fell. But they kept pushing forward, kept fighting, because they had hope now, because they had a chance. Sujin reached the main storage facility. She placed charges on the primary tanks. Big charges, set for remote detonation. Not yet, though. First, they needed to clear the area, get everyone to safety. All units fall back to the extraction point. We have 5 minutes before this place goes up. They ran. All of them. The Valtharians tried to stop them. But Allied air support arrived. Fighters strafed the enemy positions. Gunships provided cover fire. The soldiers made it to the extraction zone. Transport ships landed. Grabbed the troops. Lifted off. Sujin was the last one aboard. She looked back at the fuel depot. Pressed the detonator. The explosion was beyond massive. It was apocalyptic. The fuel ignited in a chain reaction. The entire facility disappeared in a fireball visible from orbit. The shockwave knocked down buildings kilometers away. In space, Minji saw the explosion. Saw the enemy fleet start to scatter. They knew what that meant. No fuel, no way to keep fighting. They had to retreat. Had to run. Or die here. They chose to run. The entire Valtharian fleet jumped to hyperspace. Abandoned the system. Left their ground forces behind. Victory. Complete victory. Minji allowed herself to smile. They had done it. Actually done it, and this was just the beginning. The news spread across the galaxy within hours. 3 Valtharian fuel systems destroyed. 3 enemy fleets scattered. Thousands of Valtharian ships retreating in disorder. The unstoppable invasion had been stopped. And reversed. Within 48 hours, the Valtharians had abandoned 3 entire star systems. Systems they had conquered months ago. Systems they had held with iron fists. Now they were empty. The enemy was gone. Running back to wherever they came from, Commander Minji stood in the liberated capital city of Heston 7, the same planet where she had witnessed the first defeat. Now she watched celebrations fill the streets. People were crying, laughing, hugging strangers. They were free. Finally free. Her crew was there too. Engineer Minseo was drinking with local soldiers. Pilot Seokjin was signing autographs for children. Lieutenant Jiwoo was dancing with civilians in the square. They had earned this, earned the right to celebrate, but Minji felt tired, so very tired. The war was not over. The Valtharians were still out there, still dangerous. They would regroup, come back stronger. This was just the beginning. Admiral Hyun found her on a balcony overlooking the city. He looked tired too, but happy, genuinely happy. You should be down there celebrating, Commander. You earned it. So did you, Admiral. But here we are, standing alone while everyone else parties. He laughed, a genuine laugh. She had not heard him laugh in months. We are commanders. We worry, it is our job. But Minji, let yourself feel this victory. We were losing. Badly. We were hours from total defeat. Then one human soldier fell from the sky and changed everything. That is worth celebrating. One human soldier, Sujin. Where was she now? As if reading her mind, Hyun pointed to another building. A military hospital. She is there, getting her armor repaired. Refusing medical treatment even though she has 3 broken ribs and a concussion. Typical human stubbornness, Minji smiled. I should thank her properly. We all should. The entire galaxy should. Minji made her way to the hospital. Guards tried to stop her. She showed her rank insignia. They let her through. She found Sujin in a repair bay. Technicians were working on her armor. The black plates were spread out on tables, damaged, scorched, but being fixed. Sujin herself sat on a bench, wearing a simple military jumpsuit. She looked small without the armor. Normal, like any other soldier. But Minji knew better. This woman was anything but normal. Lieutenant Sujin. Sujin stood, saluted. Commander Minji, I have read about you. Your defense of the mining colonies was brilliant. We lost those colonies, but you saved thousands of lives. Bought time for evacuations. That is what matters. Minji felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She had carried guilt about those defeats. But Sujin was right. They had saved people. That mattered. I came to thank you. You saved my ship, my crew. Probably the entire Allied fleet. How do I repay that? Sujin smiled slightly. You do not. I was just doing my job. I am a soldier. Soldiers fight. That is all. Just doing your job, Minji repeated. You single-handedly turned the tide of an entire war. And you call it just doing your job. Commander, I did not win this war. Your people did. They kept fighting when they should have run. They stood their ground when they should have broken. I just gave them a reason to believe. The courage was already there. I just reminded them of it. Humble words, but true ones. Minji had seen her crew fight, had seen them refuse to give up. Sujin had inspired them, but they had found the strength themselves. What happens now? Will you stay? Help us finish this war? Sujin looked at her armor. The technicians were almost done. Soon it would be ready again. Ready for more battles, more wars. I will stay as long as you need me. My orders are to assist Allied forces against the Valtherian threat. Those orders stand until the threat is eliminated. Good, because we are going to need you. This was just one victory. The Valtherians are still out there, still strong. Then we will defeat them again, and again, as many times as necessary, until they learn, until they understand. Understand what? Sujin's eyes were hard, determined. That humanity does not surrender, that we do not accept defeat, that we will fight until our last breath, and that anyone who threatens our allies becomes our enemy. Forever. Minji felt chills. This was the human spirit. The reason humanity had survived everything the universe threw at them. The reason they had become one of the galaxy's major powers despite being relative newcomers. They simply refused to lose. Later that day, there was a ceremony. Admiral Hyun presented medals to the heroes of the battle. Commander Minji received one. So did Captain Junho, Lieutenant Jiwoo, Pilot Seokjin, Engineer Minseo, and Sergeant Dohyun. All of them had fought bravely. All of them deserved recognition. But the biggest honor went to Lieutenant Sujin, the Medal of Valor, the highest military decoration the Allied forces could give. Hyun personally pinned it to her uniform. The crowd erupted in cheers, thousands of voices shouting her name. Sujin stood at attention, face neutral, professional. But Minji thought she saw something in those dark eyes. Pride maybe, or satisfaction. The knowledge that she had done something important. Something that mattered. After the ceremony, reporters crowded around her, asking questions, wanting interviews, wanting to know everything about the mysterious human super soldier. Sujin answered a few questions. Basic ones, name, rank, assignment. Then she politely excused herself, said she needed to return to duty. The war was not over. There was more work to do. Dohyun caught up with her as she was leaving. His platoon was with him. All of them wanted to say goodbye. Lieutenant, where will you go now? Wherever I am needed. There are Valtherians on the outer rim. Reports say they are regrouping, planning another offensive. I will go there. Stop them before they can attack. Alone? She smiled. I work best alone. But Sergeant, if you ever need help, call me. Any of you. You fought well. I would be honored to fight beside you again. They saluted her. She returned the salute. Then she walked away. Back to her ship. Back to the war. Back to the fight. That night, Minji stood on the Morning Star's bridge. The ship was preparing to leave orbit. They had new orders, new missions. The war continued, but something was different now. The crew was different. They moved with confidence, with purpose. The fear was gone, replaced by determination. They had seen the impossible happen, had seen one human change everything, had seen that the Valtherians could be beaten. If one human could do that, imagine what an entire species could do. Imagine what humanity and its allies could accomplish together. The Valtherians had made a mistake. They had attacked, had threatened, had killed. They thought they were the strongest, the most dangerous, the apex predators of the galaxy. They were wrong, because they had awakened something. Something that slept quietly until provoked. Something that once awakened would not stop, would not rest, would not quit until the threat was eliminated. They had awakened humanity. And humanity had allies, friends, people worth fighting for, worth dying for. The war would continue. More battles would be fought. More lives would be lost. But the outcome was no longer in doubt. Because now everyone knew the truth. The Valtherians could be beaten. Humanity would make sure of it. Across the galaxy, the story spread. The tale of a single human drop pod falling from orbit, of Lieutenant Sujin, of the soldier who changed everything. The legend grew with each telling. Some parts exaggerated, some parts true, but all of it inspiring. And somewhere on the outer rim, another drop pod was falling. Another battle was beginning. Another impossible fight was about to turn, because that is what humans do. They fight, they win. They never give up, and the galaxy would never forget it.